Welcome and thank you for joining LPG Talks Live. My name is André Pimentel and I'm with ANOVA, the remote monitoring partner and industry council member of the World LPG Association. It is with great pleasure that I'm hosting the 5th edition of the LPG Talks Live series. We had hundreds of registrations for this session, so thank you all for the interest, for signing up and tuning in today. Let me just remind that this is an LPGA meeting and is therefore governed by the WLPGA statutes, specifically our antitrust guidelines, which prohibits the discussions of commercial sensitive information such as pricing, volumes, market share, and similars. So today we'll be focusing on women in LPG. Gender balance in LPG industry, it's not optimized, and the World LPG Association is in a unique position to start to make a change. This change is and has been driven by the Women in LPG. WINLPG is a global network that will recommend actions and activity as part of the WLPGA strategic planning process to address this issue. So in the coming hour, you will hear from Alison Abbott with an update on the activities of WINLPG, welcome comments from Paulo Frigerio, from Danielle Delivero on how to make your keys work for you. Jana Gilimova will share her successes and challenges. And lastly, but not least, Nikki Brown will talk about the 7 steps to leadership style and launch Woman of the Year and Young Woman of the Year awards. We will also have Q&A questions in session in the end, so feel free to submit your questions on the chat or on the Q&A boxes. That's an awesome agenda. Thank you very much again for joining us. And to kick off our session, I'm pleased to announce James Rockell, CEO and Managing Director of the World LPG Association. Welcome, James, and thank you so much for joining us today and launching another session from LPG Talks Live.
Well, great, thank you, Andre, and thanks for the intro, and thank you to ANOVA once again for supporting this. I'd like to welcome everybody to what is the 2nd Global WINLPG webinar. I know that this is a network that thrives on face-to-face meetings and networking, and it's been difficult over the last 18 months. But you've managed to keep your momentum going, which I think is tremendous. You've not only kept the momentum going, you've opened a new chapter of Women in LPG in Kenya this year. Diversity is a key business imperative. The need to ensure a better balance of women and youth is part of our business improvement goal at WLPGA. So we take this extremely seriously. The reality is that our industry is under threat. In the turbulence of the pandemic and the clean energy transition, we have to make sure that LPG is recognized for the value that it brings. But it doesn't get overlooked, and worse still, it's not seen as yesterday's energy, and there is a real risk of this. And to confront it, we have a lot of very, very important strategic challenges ahead of us. I think it's fair to say that if we want to be effective at meeting those challenges, we as an industry, we have to be fit for purpose. Not just fit for purpose, we have to be match fit. We have to be ready as an industry to go out there and challenge all of those issues that are facing us right now. And it's clear to me, and it's clear, very clear to the leadership group of the WLPGA, that being fit for purpose starts with having the right team in place. And the right team is one that embraces talent regardless of gender. For far too long, we've underperformed. In my opinion, we've underperformed as an industry because there has been a clear male bias. Now, Women in LPG counts well over 2,000 members and 7 national chapters across the world in what is a relatively short period of time. And you're clearly leading the change in our industry. So I can only offer my full support to your aims, your activities. I'd like to thank all of you for your tenacity, your willingness to fight for our future. The LPG industry needs you, and together, I'm sure that we can ensure that LPG realizes its rightful role in tomorrow's energy mix. And I'd like now to pass over to Alison Abbott, who coordinates Women in LPG, to take the webinar further. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks, James. Thank you for that support. It's really valuable. As James mentioned, It's a pleasure to welcome you to the second Women in LPG webinar. I'm actually the Communications Director of the WLPGA, but I also have the pleasure of managing Women in LPG, and it is a pleasure. We launched in 2015 in Singapore in the World LPG Forum. We had a really clear idea of what we wanted to achieve, which was a global network supporting women in our industry with a strong communications element. Now, over the years, we've seen this develop, and I'm going to repeat what James said, into a serious movement, and we're a force within our industry. We have such initiatives like the Global Women Speaker Database, Role Model Library, very high-level ambassadors, and we have an impact. Coupled with the knowledge exchange sessions that we run and webinars like this, we've got a really global outreach. But for the past 2 years, that's been curtailed. We haven't been able to travel to see you. And it's meant some of the pure network work hasn't maybe been done in the traditional way. But we have a hyper-connected world, and we have overcome this, and we've really, really enhanced the network and sort of built on this momentum. As James mentioned, we've got 7 national chapters, and this year we were able to launch a new chapter in Kenya. Kenya joins Colombia, Myanmar, India, South Africa, the US, and Nigeria in helping us deliver the messages in country, and it enables us to achieve work that otherwise we could not. So I really hope you enjoy this hour. But before we move on, we're really keen to know where everybody is from today. So we're going to launch a poll. So if we could launch the poll, please. And you should see this appearing on your screen, and you should be able to click. So we want to know where in the world you're based. You've got the choice there of all the different regions. So please start voting. I can see as the votes start to come in, and we'll give you the results when they come. So it takes a minute for it to start, but we know that it would be interesting to see, for example, if there are more people here that are in areas where we actually have a national chapter, or if that could also indicate to us perhaps where we need to launch a national chapter. So let's see what is moving. I can't see any movement at the moment, so please click and we'll be able to track this a little bit. So we're waiting for votes to come in, but I'm not seeing any at the moment. Has anybody voted? Yeah, okay, this is really interesting. We'll publish this, but it looks like the Asia is where we have the most votes. We have 51% of people who are based in Asia. The next is Europe, then Africa, and interestingly, we have nobody from Oceania. I'm not so surprised on that because 1, of the timing, and 2, it's a region that we haven't really been able to touch on, but let's close that now. That gives us a really good indication, and welcome everybody. What I'd like to do now is introduce Paola Frigerio. Paola is our global chair, and she's also Chief Innovation and Development Officer with Abastibli, who is a council member of ours based in Chile. So Paola is in her 2nd year of chair, and we're really delighted that she's agreed to stay on for a 3rd year. So Paola, over to you for your words of welcome. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We are very excited to be hosting the 2nd Women in LPG webinar. As Andrea was saying, we have an exceptional agenda today with exceptional women telling their stories and giving us their experience. We will also launch today our Women of the Year Awards. This is very important, and it's your opportunity to recognize an outstanding woman for your company. So please take the time to do so. We are halfway now through the year, and we're still in pandemic. So these webinars give us the opportunity to keep in touch. We've been doing a lot of work in keeping women in LPG moving with the pandemic. And it is very important for us that you're attending. We will hold another webinar in November and then hope to see you all in Dubai for the LPG week. Please also support your national chapters. It's where you have the most interaction and when you can gain the most network with people in our community. If you're interested in starting a new national chapter in your country, please do get in touch with us. We are always looking to expand the network. We also are very happy that Women in LPG has started with the Youth Council. Also, we are promoting youth. And also delighted to see that Priyanka Shaw, our previous Young Women of the Year winner, is the council member to lead this group. So thank you again for taking the time to attend, and I'll pass it back to you, Alison. Thank you.
Thanks, Paola. That's great. Having a hands-on global chair is critical, and thanks everyone for your support. So next up, we have Danielle Di Libero. Sorry, I just butchered your name, Danielle. Danielle is the Senior Vice President of People and Culture at ANOVA. As a member of the ANOVA leadership team, Danielle is responsible for end-to-end employee experience. And with over 20 years of HR experience, Danielle's worked in various industries, including financial services, consultancy, technology, and engineering. Danielle holds a bachelor's degree in English literature and a master's degree in organizational leadership. She's an avid reader and still prefers to carry a hardcover. I thought that was great. So it's no Kindle for you, Danielle.
No.
Danielle and your family, you live in the greater New York City metropolitan area. So Danielle's going to explore how to make your keys work for you. And it's quite fascinating. So Danielle, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you all. And thank you, Andre and James and Paula and Allison. You're leading the Women in LPG initiative, and you brought us all together today. And thank you, all of you who are joining today, for welcoming me to share this moment with you. As Allison said, the title of my section is called Making Your Keys Work for You. And you might be asking, whatever does that mean? Well, I'm glad that we do have some time today because I'd like to talk about it in a little bit more detail. You see, leaders are often asked, what's your key to success? What's the key to strong relationships? How do I find my key to happiness? They're always looking for some insight and some information. And while I can't answer those questions for you today, instead I thought I'd talk a little bit more about the different kinds of keys that we all have that can help you answer the questions for yourself. So if you would, I'd like to do a short exercise. I promise it's short. Please close your eyes for a moment. Think of a special key that you have, that you currently have, maybe one that you really want, or one that you've had in your lifetime. So your eyes are closed. So think for a moment, is it a physical key? Something you hold in your hand, like the key to a car, maybe a red sports car? One that turns over the engine and allows the car to zoom along an open road? Perhaps that car is a convertible that allows you to feel the wind in your hair, gives you a sense of freedom. Can you feel that key? Maybe it's a symbolic key. Keys also could be a book, possibly a book you've read. As Allison mentioned, I do love my books. So when you held it in your hands and you flipped from chapter to chapter, did you feel those words jump off the page and speak to you? That book that you didn't want to end, and the one that you now to this day still keep on a shelf in your library. Maybe your key is a person. Did you have a teacher who maybe unlocked your passion for a subject that previously felt off limits? An educator who saw something special in you and gave you that room to explore the energy and dive into that confidence and unharness your excitement for a subject? So think of your key. Do you have it? Okay. If you want to keep your eyes closed, you may, but for the rest, you can open your eyes now. I did the exercise as well, and that's what got me thinking about all the keys that I've held in my life and the many keys that I've yet to take possession of that I still want. But more importantly, not so much about just the keys, but the significance that each of those keys held. So today, I want to share with you 3 keys from 3 different points in my lifetime. The first key is the key from my early childhood, and it's the latch key. Now, for those not familiar with this term, it refers to a child who's left home without adult supervision. And as a latch key, my brother and I would need to know when to leave the house in order to make it to school on time, and then would return again to an empty house with a list of things that we needed to do, like our homework and our chores. But we also had a list of things we really wanted to do, like play with our friends or watch TV. And the key to our home was ours to protect. That was clear. Because you see, if we lost that key, we'd be locked out. We'd be locked out until a parent returned from their own long day many hours later. Now, don't be fooled. I wasn't perfect. I was a kid. And of course, I lost that key countless times. And I can recall climbing through a window or studying on my front stoop. I even knocked on doors to ask trusted neighbors if I could use their washroom. And I look back on that time fondly, but I wonder, what did being a latchkey kid mean to me? What did it teach me? Did it unlock a part of my character, which is now part of who I am today as an adult? It is. I'm responsible. I'm a problem solver. I'm resilient. I have a good sense of time management, and at times, when necessary, I can be skeptical. Fast forward, my second key. When I was a teenager, there was one year when all our friends could talk about was getting a driver's license. And as that time approached for me to take my test and possibly gain access to a car, my parents sat me down to talk with me about this next step toward adulthood and freedom. And I recall stopping them mid-conversation and announcing that instead of that small piece of paper that would allow me to drive, I wanted a piece of paper that would allow me to fly. Instead, I asked my parents for a passport. I also asked them for a plane ticket to Europe. But more than anything, I wanted that booklet. It would allow me to see the world. What's not surprising is that my parents were not surprised. My wanderlust spirit was evident from childhood, and they were excited to support my passions. The earlier years as a latchkey kid had proved to them that I was responsible and resilient. And although it seemed like a crazy idea, they knew I was ready to get this new key. The next morning, we made our way to that passport office, and we began searching for flights. That passport was, and still is, so very important to me. And what did that passport teach me in that moment? That key unlocked even more of my character. I'm intellectually and culturally curious. I'm empathetic. I'm adventurous. And although I've made a few wrong turns in life, I do know how to read a map. So here we are, many, many, many years later, and many, many keys later. Today, there's a drawer in my kitchen. And perhaps you have a drawer in your house just like this. You know, it's the drawer that tends to catch everything that doesn't seem to have its own home. Some might even call it a junk drawer. But in that drawer is a dish filled with keys. And what's interesting about these keys is that none of them actually belong to me. These keys are other people's belongings. It's my brother's home. It's my mother's car. It's my son's bicycle. And I admit there are some keys in that dish that I have no idea what they belong to or what they open. But I realize that I've been given them and entrusted with them. Someone thought, in case of an emergency, Danielle should have that key. But why me? Why was I asked to hold these keys, these precious pieces of metal that others are holding so dear? What does having these other keys teach me about who I am? Well, I'm trustworthy. I'm honest. I'm safe. And clearly, I'm incorruptible. So I think back on these keys and I realize that each one of them, either physical or symbolic, has unlocked a part of my character which I've brought to my career. As a professional who identifies as female, using she, her pronouns, I've made a career in human resources. HR has gone through many iterations over the years, from personnel to HR to human capital, and now most recently, people and culture. And when Inova recognized that they wanted to bring this very important role to their leadership team, I wondered if I was the right person for the job. Did I have the right keys to succeed? I thought of all the characteristics that I admired in this kind of role, and I looked at the keys I already had in my possession. Well, here I am, almost 2 years into my tenure as the SVP of People and Culture at Inova, and I'm proud to be in this position, and I'm grateful that my keys unlocked this opportunity for me. There's pictures here, there's wonderful pictures of my colleagues around the world, and it makes me smile. And then I see me in the pictures highlighted in yellow. There's me, still being curious and learning how to install an Inova tank monitor in Nebraska. There you can see I've spotted an Inova LP WIN tank monitor out in the wild, And finally, I'm proud to be sitting with the executive leadership team in our New Jersey office. I actually keep this picture on my desk at work. I'm so excited about all the keys that we have in this group and what we unlock together as a team. So now remember, that image you brought up earlier in our chat, when your eyes were closed and you thought of your key, think of that key again. What did that key teach you? What characteristics does it unlock about who you are and what you bring to your personal and professional life? So my advice is, who you are and what you need is already in you. So take inventory of the keys that you have and be sure to keep collecting new keys along the way. Thank you. Allison?
Thank you, Danielle. I've got one of those kitchen drawers as well. I think we all have. That was so passionate and it was so fascinating. And what we're trying to do on this webinar is really give us things that will make us think, and hopefully we'll all be thinking about our keys. It was really cool. Thank you so much. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Jana Gilimova. Now, Jana is our current Woman of the Year. She works for Tengi Chevroil in Kazakhstan. At the time of the award, Jana was Tengi Chevroil's, LPG commercial manager. She was responsible for the commercialization of 1.3 million tons of LPG a year. Tengi Chevroil is the third largest producer of LPG in Eurasia, and Jana has more than 10 years experience in strategy and commercial positions with a really successful track record of assignments in the upstream and midstream value chains in Kazakhstan, the USA, Panama, and the UK. She holds executive master's degree from the London School of Economics and Political Science with a specialization on foreign direct investments and a bachelor from Manchester University in the UK. She's also an alumni from Eurasia of Chevron CEO sponsored Global Skills Development Program. And currently, Jana is acting as reinvestment manager in Chevron Eurasian Business Unit. So a super impressive CV, and no surprise that Jana was awarded our Woman of the Year award. So Jana, I'm handing over to you for your comments on your successes and challenges. Thank you, Jana, over to you.
Well, good day, everyone. Thanks a lot for, first of all, inviting me for this webinar, and secondly, thank you so much for recognizing me as a Woman of the Year by the World LPG organization. To be honest, it was very surprising, and it was very unexpected. And I think, as any woman could relate, my first thought when I learned about this award was, it can't be true, or it's not me. And I think it's quite normal for any woman to think of yourself probably lower than others might think of yourself. So that's why I think this award is a bit dear to me, because it made me think, should I deny it or should I think more thoroughly? And then I arrived to a thought that, really this award, it's not truly mine, but more about me and my team in LPG that I had in Tengi Chevroil, and all those people who contributed to my development and my career development as well. So all those mentors I had, colleagues that I worked with, teams that I led, they were truly inspirational people. And when I was given this award, I think I said it, and I would like to say it here as well, is that I'm so proud that I used to work with people of their caliber, and I'm so proud that I just had an opportunity to know them. So for me, this award is, as I said, very special. It's a reminder of how people can support people in their endeavors, and how diversity really leads to a success of everyone. So with that, without further ado, the topic of mine is success and challenges that I had. And when I was preparing for this topic, I was really trying to think what kind of challenges I had throughout LPG times and throughout the entire career. And to be honest with you, I did struggle with this part a little bit. I do think of myself as an extremely lucky person, because I have always been surrounded by great people And I think this is, if we're talking about keys to success, I think knowing and appreciating and discovering people and learning from them is the key. I'm a big people lover, and I have been super lucky to know greatest professionals in the field, people who never were indifferent to what they do, people who were moved by the work that they are doing or they've done. And that was my key learning, that in any challenging situation, I always knew I can go either to my supervisor or some senior people in my organization, or to my team member or somebody who's just starting the job and ask their view. And there was always a message for me there. So that's my first takeaway. In terms of the challenges, I mean, it's easy to be called an overnight star, but usually it's a lot of work behind that's happening. And I'm not claiming to be one, but I think truly in many instances, you really work hard. It never happens to you just because. And the people who understand this will always understand it in other people's as well. For instance, I do cherish a lot hard work. And I'm commenting Chevron is one of the largest assets that Chevron has in its portfolio. And in my previous job, I used to deal a lot with production operations people who are right on the field, who go to the field and work under very challenging situations. They have to take and make decisions that probably more of a life and death decisions in many cases. And I was always very much admiring them. And I was always thinking they work under very hard circumstances. And I was in the office, and it's still a nice job. It's not that type of an environment you are in. And I always thought very, very highly of those people who had the real operational experience, who were at the field. And, you know, I do recognize and I do feel like that type of work is something that has to be praised, recognized. And you always have to remember, like even at commercial positions, that there are people who making a lot of value for your work as well, and everybody down the chain. So what I'm really trying to say is everybody's input matter, especially the closer to the well you are, the more it matters. And you have to recognize and appreciate and always remember that those people who are in the field, they add massive value. And one of my challenges was that, as you know, in oil and gas, it matters a lot when you have some technical experience like that. And I didn't have it per se, but I was closely working with production operations, and I always had to understand their real challenges. And to me, it was key to learn quickly the technical matters of the aspect. And although I have some technical background, like more in math, I never was an engineer. And for me, it was very vital to learn really, really quickly. And I think one of the takeaways for today from my speech, if there is a challenge, it's almost always possible to overcome it with your ability to learn things quickly. First of all, be open-minded to a new endeavor. And secondly, learn quickly. And learning quickly, it's a skill that could be trained. And nowadays, it's almost required of you to learn things quickly, to be open to a new knowledge. These days, you don't have to go to university, all the knowledge at the tip of your fingertip. And all you have to do is recognize what is the right information, apply your critical thinking, and able to learn and grasp it as quickly as you can. So one of the challenges that I had at my previous positions, and I think what I'm currently having now, is I have to learn really quickly. And I think because I've done it repetitively through many, like at least last 5 years, I'm sort of getting better at it. So I think that's it on the challenge part. And also, I was quite young when I was handed over some managerial positions. And even my last position was, I think, a bit, I'm so honored that I was given an opportunity to work in a capacity of LPG manager. It's quite a big position for probably CIS countries with a big mandate. But in some instances, no matter how much quickly I learn, no matter how much quickly I find people whom I can talk to and get advice from, I was lacking life experience. And when you're a manager, it also matters because you are dealing with people's matter. And no matter how smart you could be, life experience that you have, I think it's important. And therefore, I always had mentors or people who are senior in my organization, or maybe not even senior, but at least had this life experience I can go to and ask, what do I do if I have such and such situation? And you know, academic knowledge is important. Your street smartness is also important, but life experience is something that should be treasured and shouldn't be sort of overlooked. And another key takeaway is find yourself a person whom you can trust, who has very good experience, not just professional, but from the standpoint of life experience, and seek an advice or just spend some time with them to grasp it. That was my another key that I had to discover, but I think I discovered the right one. So if I summarize of what I said, challenges, they all sort of gifts in disguise. So I really couldn't find any appropriate challenge to talk about tonight. But I think I'm very lucky and I'm so grateful I had this journey in my life. And I'm so grateful to all the people I'm surrounded by, to all the great professionals that I had in TCO and I'm having now. And I think the key is, James rightly put it before, he said that right now we have to do something that's matched fit for purpose. And a lot of it to do with diversity that you're having. So tonight I would like to celebrate not just women, but men as well. I've been supported by men all along my life. So I'm very, very grateful. And I don't really want to go into gender stereotypes. I think it's all about people, their open-mindedness, their kindness, and just our human being part when you support each other on any endeavor, not just professional, but personal as well. And I'm super lucky to have it. And I wish everyone to be in that journey. And I'm trying my best to be someone as people as I've met before.
Thank you. Thank you, Jana. I think you're very modest and very gracious, and I think that you know you said very kind words and a lot of really good advice there. It's inspirational because you know you're talking about mentors, and I think that's a key, that we're talking about keys, and a lot of great takeaways there. So thank you so much. You have until November where you're still Woman of the Year, and then you'll hand that title over to your successor. So we're going to talk about that soon. Now we're going to switch things out a little bit now, and our final presentation is from somebody who I don't think will be a stranger to many of you. Nikki Brown has been absolutely key to the success of WINLPG. She was with me at my side with the original launch in 2015 and was our very first global chair for 2 years. Nikki now acts as our global community manager, and she's instrumental in much of what happens, if you like, the back office and the running of the network. We're having a slight change of tack now. Hopefully you'll enjoy a look at Nikki's take on leadership styles. At the end of the last webinar in October, we had fantastic feedback. And one of the things that everybody wanted was, well, I use the word training lightly, but it was some kind of focus where we could get takeaways. So Nikki's going to look at some life hacks for you in different leadership styles, or the pathway to leadership styles. And then we'll close this with a really exciting announcement about our awards. So thank you, Jana, and Nikki, over to you.
Thank you very much, Alistair. And Zana, it was lovely to hear your story. I think people will have a lot to take away from that. My sort of presentation today is really to have a focus on leadership style. This is not the mantra for everybody to live by, but it's just my perception on what people can and can't do, and what people maybe can take away from this. If you're promoted into a position when you're managing people, it does not automatically make you a leader. Through the strength of their vision and personality, leaders paint a picture of what they see as possible and inspire and so engage their employees into turning that vision into a reality. They think beyond the mechanics of what individuals do and activate people to become part of something much bigger. Leaders are proud disruptors. Innovation is their mantra. They embrace change, and they know even if something is working, there could be a better way forward. In essence, leaders are game changers. Managers maintain the status quo. Leaders are unique, and managers copy. Leaders take risks. Managers control risks. Leaders are in it for the long haul. Managers normally think short term. Leaders grow personally. Managers rely on existing, proven skills. Leaders build relationships. Managers build systems and processes. Leaders coach. Managers direct. Leaders create a following. Managers have employees. So which do you aspire to? A leader or a manager? Well, in this session, I'm going to aim to give you some guidance and advice in a 7-steps process to help you identify and hopefully perfect your leadership style. But why is that important to you? Your leadership style is your key to success. So to improve your pathway to success, being aware and being able to develop and adapt your leadership style is vital. Having an understanding of your leadership style allows you to become a better communicator with those not only that you are leading, but those who manage you. What benefits, though, does it bring to your business? A strategic blended leader is an asset to any organization. The benefits to the business by increasing employee engagement and retention, improving communication, teamwork, and collaboration. This in turn enhances personal and team effectiveness. First slide, please. We've all encountered an executive with one of these styles. The mushroom. He keeps everybody in the dark. Next slide, please. The seagull swoops in, squawks, dumps, and then leaves. Or next slide, please. The kipper, two-faced and gutless. Next slide, please. These perfectly demonstrate the leadership styles that we do not want to be recognized for. But not spending time recognizing and developing your leadership style will cause you problems. From a purely female perspective, it's a bit like trying to apply eyeshadow with a big blusher brush. At best, it's going to be a bit difficult, but at worst, it's going to get downright messy. And as the song goes, it isn't what you do, it's the way that you do it. Fortunately, the simple fact that you are listening to this focused session instantly places you in a unique minority that is actually prepared to think about how you present and represent yourself and what you want your leadership style to show. Actively developing your leadership style allows you to utilize your full range of skills and ensure maximum effectiveness, thus making most situations easier to handle. The leadership style that you choose, and yes, to an extent, it is an active choice you can make, will have a direct impact on the results you will get. It is what will make you memorable for others and fulfilled for yourself. So, the 7 steps are: be bold. Boldness is an essential for leading upwards. No one would describe Richard Branson as a great communicator, but a great visionary, absolutely. His boldness can be breathtaking. A lot of boldness is not giving a monkeys about what other people think of you. And that's okay to an extent, but courage fueled by a high degree of integrity and a dose of good judgment is what will make you stand out from others. Review what holds you back. What elements of your personality could you allow to shine through more? Where could you be bolder? I would suggest that for 1 week, at the end of each day, review your performance in meetings and discussions and list 3 to 5 things that worked well about your leadership style, and then actively but consciously use them the next week. Number 2, be strengths savvy. The majority of women have high natural levels of emotional intelligence, so harness that ability and get to know your signature leadership style inside out. Is it visionary, affiliative, coaching, democratic, directive, or pace setting? Heighten your own awareness of what you are good at and consciously play to your natural strengths as much as possible. Ask yourselves what descriptive styles best suit your leadership. Reliable, innovative, determined, competent, productive, decisive, inspiring, honest, influential, constructive. And ask 5 friends or colleagues what they consider to be your strengths of character and style. Or you could take an online strengths finder test. You can get loads of free tests on Google, and not only are they quite fun, but they're also very informative. Number 3, get the blender out. Alongside playing to your natural strengths, actively work to stretch your leadership styles into styles that you find more difficult. The most successful leaders can consciously draw on and seamlessly integrate all leadership styles dependent on situations. One size definitely doesn't fit all. Masculine working environments spawn a quite directive and pace-setting style. If this is not your natural approach, but it is required within your job, find ways and practice blending with your natural style, with your stretch style, so that you are comfortable. Think about ways that your strengths can benefit the group that you are leading. By evaluating your own skills, you will be able to better play to your own strengths and work on improving your areas of weakness. Who on your team has strengths that not only complement, but strengthen your own? Analyze and ask how you could use them better. Blend your team's leadership strengths to their best advantage. The best leaders are not well-rounded, but the best teams are. Number 4, be visionary. To be a great leader, alongside being trustworthy, simply have clear vision that you are able to articulate and to allow your team to experience the same passion and motivation. Be a role model. Focused determination, direction, and purpose will inspire enthusiasm, belief, commitment, and excitement through the involvement of all employees. Make sure your actions reflect the unique strengths, culture, values, beliefs, and direction of the organization. This will not only inspire confidence downwards amongst your own team, but co-workers, but will increase your impact upwards with your own bosses. Number 5, be follower focused. The best leaders are human and socially conscious. Allowing a team to innovate and take responsibility is the best way towards a resilient future. Recognize what you can bring to the team and what you need to give more of to bring out their best. Good leaders will inspire trust and respect in individuals, and they will in turn emulate and incorporate his or her ideals. Good leaders offer support and encouragement for individual employees. In order to create supportive relationships, leaders keep lines of communications open so employees feel confident that they can share ideas and that leaders can offer acknowledgement, recognition, and reward for the unique contributions of each employee. Number 6, be balanced and consistent. The impact of this is so important. Balance yourself and your approach to situations. Every single one of us finds our best performance in consistency. Consistent is acting or doing in the same way over time, especially so as to be fair and accurate. Being a consistent leader means that your employees can trust that you will do what you say you are going to do and that you will behave fairly in your attitude and actions. So always, always maintain consistency. Number 7, be true to you. There really is no such thing as a perfect leadership style, but there is, however, a perfect leadership style for you in each situation. But what does this really mean? Being true to yourself means being genuine and authentic. If you are not authentic, people will see straight through you. A high level of self-awareness is of paramount importance. A leader cannot be authentic with others if they do not understand what this looks like for themselves. Genuine passion and pride is the fast track to building connectivity and trust, even if people don't agree with you. Give up trying to be something you are not. Focus on being you. Integrity, authenticity, and walking your talk are the cornerstones to building great internal and external relationships. The most valuable thing you have to offer is yourself. Whatever your style, it is uniquely you. Find your own it, have confidence in it, find your own way, and stick to it with confidence. Finally, a business is a collection of people all working towards the same cause, and a leader is always required to define that cause. Continual growth and development of a business will only come through initiative and harnessing the talents of others. So perfecting your leadership style to fit in with the organizational needs is critical to your own personal advancement and business success. Without doubt, divide and conquer leadership style has no place in business today. The future is transformational. You need to be a leader who takes control of the situation by conveying a clear vision of the group's goals, a marked passion for the work, and an ability to make the rest of the group feel recharged and energized. Transformational leadership is a leadership style that can inspire positive changes in those who follow. These are the strengths for the leaders of the future and essentials for every aspiring female or male in the coming decade. It's not a one-way relationship. As you work towards developing some of these leadership qualities, don't forget to look towards your friends, your colleagues, or your employees for feedback and inspiration. Pay attention to the things that have always been effective in the past, but always, always be on the lookout for new ways to inspire and motivate. And taking those final words of inspire and motivate, we are particularly delighted again to announce the launch of the WINLPG 2021 Woman and Young Woman of the Year Awards. This is the fourth year of the awards, and since its conception in 2018, it's gained visibility and traction for WINLPG as a network and recognition for its work towards improving gender diversity in the industry. For businesses and the network, it is a great way to showcase some of the remarkable women who are employed worldwide, and for individuals, it's a real opportunity to raise their own profile and visibility to a global audience. We need you to send in your applications. Don't worry if you've applied before. You have another 12 months of experience and a new story to tell, which may make all the difference with the judging. If you have a colleague that deserves recognition, send their details and story to us. If you are a business who wants to recognise an employee's achievements, send their details and story to us. The judging is done using strict criteria, especially in the final stages. In the main, it's done blind. We also recognise as a network that everyone who applies is a success. We showcase all these successes with publication of our Class of the Year on the WINLPG website page. For the winners and runners-ups comes the opportunity for NASH to raise their national and international profile. They will be interviewed for industry publications, their stories will be published through social media outlets, and they will become a WINLPG role model. We do ask for some cooperation from the successful finalists, with webinars and supporting and promoting our membership of the network, but certainly nothing onerous or time consuming. The link for applications is on the WINLPG page of the WLPGA website, or please contact me directly at winlpg@wlpga.org. Now, thank you very much for listening. I hope you've got something to take away, and I'll hand over to Andre for the Q&A session. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. Great presentation. Let me just reinforce and remind our audience to pass along the message of the opening of Women of the Year and the Young Woman of the Year Awards. I'm sure all of you are thinking of someone that you could nominate right now, right? Maybe a woman and a young woman that have the right keys in your company. Just think about it and please nominate something and pass along the message. And now let's launch a poll to better understand what you'd like to have as a focus areas on the next event of the WINLPG. So if I can request our organization to launch it, here it is. What focus area would you like to present at the next WINLPG webinar in November? How to take the work out of networking, how to kickstart your vision using vision boards, being inspirational, honing your presentation skills. So while we vote, let's just give a few more seconds for people to vote. Normally we close the voting at 80%, 70%, which is a normal percentage of audience voting. And please launch your questions. We'll open very soon our Q&A session. So just after this poll, if we can have the results. Just giving it a little bit more seconds, more time. Can we have the results, please? And here they are. And so we have how to kickstart your vision and using vision boards and being inspirational as number one, and very close, very, very close, just by one vote, how to take the work out of networking. So this is the focus areas the audience would like to see. That's well noted. The session will be in November. Just make sure you register. And now let's open up the floor for questions from the audience. We are running a little bit late, but we have time for a few questions. And the first one is from Priyanka. Hi, Priyanka. How can a compassionate leader ensure that not only her team gives out the best results, but also recognition for herself? Can compassionate leadership and being bold go hand in hand? And probably, Nikki, I'll send that to you because it's related with being bold from the 7 steps. You are on mute, sorry.
Absolutely. I think that the best leaders show compassion, passion, and boldness. Being bold and compassionate go together as one. And I've met some brilliant leaders within the LP gas industry and outside who have been really visionary with where they want to take their product and their services. But at the same time, they bring their employees with them and they recognize the strengths that their team brings to them. And that's all about being compassionate. So yes, definitely, the two go very much hand in hand.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. And moving on to any other comments from anyone? Okay. So moving into the next question from Shetra Shamola. Hi, Chet. Thank you for joining. For those in the industry who have not started this journey in earnest, what is your biggest piece of advice for getting started with diversity and inclusion? And so I open to the panel, so feel free to answer. Danielle, I see you unmuted.
Well, thank you, Chet. we obviously, this is a great conversation for everyone on this call, but I think that the key to this is to start small and to pick one goal and go from there. There's so many companies, I think, that they get derailed because they try to do all the different things they hear about what's going on in D&I at one time, and it doesn't necessarily come to fruition. And so I think if you can start small with one goal and then evolve that time over time, I think that's a great way for an organization to start, either a small organization or a larger organization.
Yeah, and if I may just add a comment on that. Read, and I know that Danielle, you'd like that. I would say read, buy a book, or just research online. There's so much content, and I think that we can all arm ourselves with knowledge and ideas of what other companies are doing. So I would say educate ourselves as well.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you. And we are running very short on time. I'm just going to throw another one very quick, which is, I think it's very relevant for WINLPG. What are the next sections or events planned by WINLPG? Where might we launch the next WINLPG chapter? Alison, maybe, or Nikki, you can answer to this one.
I think, thank you for that. The next big event will take place in Dubai during the World LPG Week. We're going to have a lunch like we do a knowledge exchange. It's a 1.5 hour lunch. So I encourage everyone to come to that if you can. In terms of the next national chapter, we're talking with Brazil. We've been trying to do that for quite some time. That's on the cards, and we're also looking. We don't have a national chapter in Europe, so I know that Nikki and I are working to see how we can move on with that, because this is where we spend most of our time. So yeah, but come to LPG Week in Dubai. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you. We have a few other questions that we'll be answering and we'll be sharing with all the attendees and registrants as usual. We do need to move on as we are approaching fast to the conclusion of the session. And as we approach, and as we presented in the last webinar, from now until LPG Week in December 2021, we will be airing the videos of the LPG Week featured sponsors at our webinars. And today, we will be airing a video from ENOC, who are the exclusive event hosts sponsors at LPG Week 2021 in Dubai. So let's watch the video.
We've been dreaming of a place close to our hearts. We wake up, go to work, and take our dreams with us. Behind the skyline is our story, a story of leaders and workers, innovators, artists, and families. We've been building upward, but we've also been looking forward. What drives us is the energy that makes us industrious. It's the energy that ignites our creativity and fuels our sense of adventure. From our education that yields new discoveries, to our work that propels us towards our next breakthrough, we're proud to see our ideas taking to the skies. We're building a living model of the future, We're the heroes you know and the heroes you don't. We might have different hopes, but we share the same dream. A dream of a place where anything is possible. But what powers our dreams? It's the energy that inspires us.
And with this inspiring energy and awesome video from ENAC, we come to an end in our session today. I want to thank you, all of you, for being here with us today, for your interest in LPG Talks live sessions, and of course, in the topics of diversity and women in LPG. In case you want to revisit any presentation from today, I'm happy to inform you that this session has been recorded and will be available for all of you. Also, a very, very special thank you to James, Alison, Paula, Danielle, Jana, and Nikki for being with us today and sharing presentations and stories. Thank you very much. Thank you, and hope to see you all in the next edition of the LPG Talks Live that will happen on the 7th of September, focused on how to make the best of LPG Week, or as I like to call it, the best LPG event in the world. Thank you, and stay safe.